All right, so we're live now back at Longwood University, back with the vice presidential debate post game. Here's what happened in the debate. They went at each other. Mike Pence, to the annoyance of Tim Kaine and a lot of Democrats, was kind of just avoiding answering anything. And Tim Kaine pointed out 6 times would not defend Donald Trump. In essence, though, that was what Mike Pence had to do. He had to avoid talking about the things that Trump has run into trouble with. And he did a decent job of that. I think Pence came out probably stronger at the beginning of the debate, faded a little bit, and then Kaine got his mojo going. There's going to be nothing memorable. There's going to be no Jack Kennedy moment from this debate. But what Mike Pence did is he had to vouch for his candidate, his nominee, his president, and now Donald Trump can go out and say, hey, didn't Mike Pence do a great job? And most people have to say, yeah, he did just fine. Tim Kaine, though, also had to do his job, which was just to get in the way of Mike Pence and just do right by Hillary Clinton by attacking Donald Trump, and that's what he did. We're not going to be talking about this in about 2 days. That's going to be it. Let's walk around now and see a lot of people making their way through here. Here's Senator Mark Warner. Senator, can you talk to us at Young Turks, Senator from Virginia? Mark Warner, your colleague, your old colleague, friend at this point, Tim Kaine. Look at the job he had to do, and then the job that he did tonight as the vice presidential nominee.
Tim Kaine clearly won the debate. But what I thought was the most telling moment of the debate for me was Mike Pence, who I think did a fair job, but was completely unwilling to stand up and defend some of Trump's more indefensible comments. He never addressed the fact of Trump's comments about nuclear proliferation. He never addressed the fact of whether Trump should pay taxes or not. He never addressed the fact of should we have information about Trump's dealings with foreign governments. So on those things, I understand why he couldn't defend him, but I think at the end of the day, those doubts about Donald Trump, who he is, and what kind of character he'd bring to the race were simply enhanced by this.
And Senator, with all the time you've done these debates and in politics, isn't that part of Pence's job, though, to avoid at the end of the night? Kaine pressed him harder. Should he maybe have gone even harder than he did to avoid answering some of those things about the nominee?
It would have been. I think it's always important to try to get. In a vice presidential debate, I think is a little different. Both of these guys are used to defending their own records, so the idea that you actually have to defend someone else, I think what we saw in Tim Kaine, who was somebody who was enthusiastically willing to step up and lay out what Hillary Clinton's plans are, and you had from Mike Pence an unwillingness to actually take on some of the more outrageous statements that Trump has made during this campaign.
Senator, thanks. All right. So that was Senator Mark Warner. No surprise there, talking about how his friend and colleague Tim Kaine, also from Virginia, won tonight. So nothing surprising there. We have a lot of people now from the Trump and the Republican Party campaign here. Say hi to Geet. How are you, man? How are you going to say hi to everybody at the Young Turks?
Hey, TYT.
Yeah, all right.
Big fan.
All right. Old friend of mine from the Al Jazeera days. There's David Bossie with the Republican Party. There's Charlie Pierce. Come on, Charlie Pierce. How are you, man? How's it going? Charlie from Esquire. Talk to the Young Turks audience a little bit. What happened?
Are we really doing this?
We're really doing it. We're live now, kid. I promise. What do we think tonight?
I don't know. I mean, about halfway through the debate, I realized that Mike Pence was running as a third-party candidate. There's the Republican Party and the Democratic Party and the Mike Pence Party, who has a whole totally different take on what we should do with Russia than the Republicans do.
So should Gary Johnson be shaking his boots?
No, I don't know. I think Mike Pence ought to be invited to the Sunday debate. He should be the third person on the stage. So he and the Republican nominee can hash out their differences on several issues.
Perfect. So
they might also introduce themselves to each other,
which would be nice too. Yeah. When was the last time they saw each other? You think?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if the nominee would know his running mate at this point. Yeah. They might have to be introduced at the inaugural.
Yeah, they're never. If Donald Trump were to win this race, he will never see Mike Pence again for the rest of his life.
Because Mike Pence will be running the government, and he'll be in Mar-a-Lago hitting, lying 5 on the 14th hole.
Wait, so Charlie, one more thing. In 48 hours, is anybody going to be talking about this?
Well, I think I could have gone to my grave without hearing Mike Pence use the phrase "whip it out." I really could have. I could have lived a happy life.
Whip out your Mexican thing.
Whipping out your Mexican, yeah.
By the way, in the same...
That's an Indiana euphemism, by the way.
It must be, but in the same conversation, he talked about getting on his knees, too. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
They're talking
I
about praying.
that one, but you have a much dirtier mind than I do.
Well, I guess I do, or dirtier audience. Okay, Orioles, Blue Jays.
I don't know. I mean, they're playing right now, right? One game?
It was close. Actually, we can't. Eric doesn't know the score, and he's TiVoing, so we can't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
But it's a one-game thing. That's what
Yeah,
I
love
thought.
those games. I absolutely adore the one-game playoff.
Do you? You don't think it should be 2 out of 3?
No. I like winner go home, and I'm fairly sure baseball will screw it up by making it 2 out of 3. But I love the one and go home.
They usually seem to. So, did anybody win? Is anybody going home from here?
What do you mean?
I mean, tonight, who won?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess this one really depends on what side you were coming in. I think the more the conversation involved the Republican nominee, the worse it was for Pence. But I'll tell you one thing: he must have been a great wingnut radio talk show host. I would have bought autoglass from that man. I really would.
Do you know what he said, Charlie, about himself as a radio host?
What?
He said that he's Rush Limbaugh on decaf.
I can buy that. I could see that. Yeah, I mean,
Kinda accurate,
I mean, well, actually, Rush used to drink Snapple, remember? And then Snapple said, "Please stop mentioning our product on the air."
Well, he had to wash the OxyContin down with something. Right? We'll
All right.
see you later.
See you.
All right.
Mike.
Maybe. So yeah, we're done.
Okay, hey, it's Eric Byler. So, let me know if you guys are interested in Jesse Jackson or one of the Trump surrogates. This guy Bossy seems very popular. Okay, we're back.
Okay. So back, Charlie Pierce with Esquire Politics, fantastic, always fun, always funny. Let's keep moving here. Let's find somebody from the Trump side to see what they thought of Pence. Guess what I think they're going to say. Come on. That's what happens. A lot of people here taking selfies, walking around, getting excited about being here. This is what happens. Let's go talk to Mike Pompeo. See if we can get to Congressman Mike Pompeo over here. There he is. Okay. Mike Pompeo, kind of popular here. Let's see. Guess what he's going to say? He's going to say, "I think Mike Pence did a fantastic job tonight." They know each other well.
Ask him if he'd like to defend some of the things that...
Yep, right. Well, yeah, of course.
More than defending Mr. Trump, what he was articulating was a vision that he and Mr. Trump have for what America needs to do, how America needs to change after 7.5 years where there aren't jobs, where America is more at risk. Those things I think Governor Pence articulated incredibly well, and I'm confident that Mr. Trump will do the same a week from now.
What's your reaction to the Clinton campaign continuing to evoke Ronald Reagan as a means of denouncing Trump?
Yeah, I wish that Secretary Clinton had an ounce of the trustworthiness of Ronald Reagan.
But how can you say that Pence did a good job of defending Trump versus just changing the subject? Because he changed the subject a lot when something came up that was controversial.
What he spoke to were the things that Americans in Kansas care about. You're right, he didn't chase the rabbit holes that the left-wing media wants him to run down. What he talked about were the things that people like I represent in Kansas care about. He talked about how do you grow an economy. We haven't had 3% GDP growth once during President Barack Obama. That's the first time ever for a two-term president not to have that kind of economic growth. Today, around the world, we are mocked and laughed at. And he talked about how we're going to prevent that and how we're going to keep America safe from terrorism. I mean, Senator Kaine tried to convince the American people tonight that somehow terrorism is not the threat it was when Barack Obama came into office. Just ask the people of New York or New Jersey or San Bernardino or Orlando or Nice, France. The list is endless. The threat from terrorism to date is far worse, and Senator Kaine tried to tell the American people, let's see, I'll be polite, a fib.
But what do you make of Governor Pence pivoting so many times?
He was talking about the things real people care about, that matter, that presidents and vice presidents and leaders do. That's the things he came here tonight to talk about. I think he did a fantastic job in achieving that.
Congressman, on the trail that people are talking about
Thank you.
Donald Trump and his taxes, and so whether they care about it in Kansas or
Yeah.
or they
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
asked tonight and it was avoided. And
Yeah.
maybe part of Mike Pence's role tonight was to definitely avoid those questions. But,
Yeah.
but what are you satisfied hearing his answer? On that?
Yeah.
There's no answer.
Look,
to it?
I get it. You all in the media want to talk about Donald Trump's taxes. Folks in Kansas, and I think all across America, want to talk about their taxes. I really do. When I was out in Valley Center, I was in Andover, Kansas this weekend, and not a one of them asked me about Donald Trump's tax returns. You know what they asked me about? They said, is it true? Are Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine going to raise my taxes? And the answer to that is yes. And then they asked me, will Donald Trump and Mike Pence lower my taxes? And I said yes. And they were excited. They were happy about that because they understand that more government's not good for them. And so this idea somehow that the American people are as fixated as you are, sir, about Donald Trump's taxes is ludicrous.
I don't discount that, and I'm sure your experiences in Kansas were like that. I'm just wondering,
I think
as
they're like that all across the world.
as Governor Pence was up there, though, he was asked about this, and it's something that people are talking about. How's the campaign dealing with it?
Look, Tim Kaine was obsessed by it tonight. He was literally obsessed with Donald Trump's taxes. I think that's what you do when you're selling nothing to the American people. A tax policy that the American people will reject. I mean, he talked about Donald Trump taxes in the context of terrorism, and the list was endless. If you had Donald Trump's taxes in your drinking game tonight, you're going to need a driver. And so I hope that what you saw tonight was a serious man who's talking about the things that really matter to America. And I think I certainly know that's what I think I saw tonight, and I think it's what everybody all across America.
Thanks, Congressman.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
We're Donald Trump is a candidate for president.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up and then come back in a few minutes when we have somebody new. Okay, you say goodbye real quick?
all right. Hey, we'll see you in the spin room in a few minutes. We're going to get someone else, and we're going to stay with this. All right.